I was just about to say it. You
Oh
just made
yeah,
me feel
sure. It was right on the tip of your tongue, eh? Okay.
Okay. Absolutely. Hi, Darlene. Glad you joined us. Here she is at her beach resort.
Virtual.
That's her why.
Is she back on the beach again?
Yeah.
She's back on the
She's
beach.
always on the beach. I love it.
You
Wow.
really don't want to see what's actually behind the screen. That's a lot of it.
Guys, we're going to get started. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you for being on time. And this is absolutely wonderful. We're very, very excited. What we're going to be doing tonight is we're just so excited to have Dr. Deborah Viglione, one of our all-time role models and people that we all follow, on with us. And we're so grateful that she joined us. And we're going to be spending about the first half hour, 25 minutes to half an hour, just learning more from her. And then we're just going to take a short period of time to catch you guys up on any of the special announcements. And then we're going to open it up for, because some of you are doing some amazing, amazing things as you're, during this COVID period. You're doing some very creative things to spark your businesses. So we're just going to have kind of an open mic and let everybody share what new things they're doing. Deborah, you're always welcome to stay on as long as you can squeak your time to do that. Love to have you. So maybe anything else we need to say about this?
I think that's a good start, Jenny.
Okay, all right. Well, let me introduce Deborah, and I'm going to be very, very short about this because we really want to hear from her. Anna.
Make sure everybody mutes themselves so we can just hear Deborah without interruptions, because not everyone's muted.
Right, and it's better if you mute yourself. Okay. Hey, Kathy. Kathy, can you mute yourself also if you're not already muted? Okay, beautiful. Well, Deborah, whom we've all met through LifeVantage, delightfully so. She is a doctor of internal medicine, very holistic and very integrative. Deborah, I think you have several clinics from what I've read, but I love the way you approach medicine. And I especially love, as most of us do, what you've done for all of us to learn, both on the Connection Make a Difference today and on your YouTube channel, because we can take those, because you put them there, and we can then repost them into other groups where people need to see them and hear them and learn from you. So thank you so much for doing that. We're gonna keep following you that way.
That's
so
awesome.
so that said, I'm just going to kind of turn it over to you and ask you if you would just spend a few minutes, because your story is so fascinating. Tell us who you are and tell us how you found LifeVantage, because from what I remember hearing in one of those very, very early videos, you went to this not really believing, like many of us, and you were surprised, but it took a little bit of twisting and encouraging for you to kind of jump on board, and then you kind of jumped in with all of your body like the rest of us have done. So tell us your story.
Well, it's kind of funny because I had a very bad attitude towards the network marketing industry. Rightfully so, because there's a lot of companies out there that do bad things. You know, they set the company up so that the guys at the top make the money, the company goes into bankruptcy and everybody loses all the money, you know. So there was a lot of bad reputation, and you guys have probably all been through that, the salesperson that hounds you to death, it won't stop, you know, destroying friendships. And so network marketers to me were the worst, and I couldn't keep them out of my office because my office manager always wanted free lunch. So she would let him in, and I started giving her a list of questions. Okay, pyramid scheme, MLM, you know, multi-level marketing. I said, say no. Well, she didn't. So they would come back there with these dreams, like all of us do, and don't do this, but they're going to sign up the doctor that's going to make them a ton of money, and they would buy my lunch because that's the only way they could get in the door. And that's how you get in the door with the doctor. But I knew that they were paying for the lunch, and I would ask them for their science because I was always very polite. What do you have? And they never had any real science. They just had a bunch of slides or whatever promotional stuff, but there was no meat behind it. So I would politely say, what's it to come in as a customer? So I wrote them a check to get them out of there and to really pay for my lunch. And then I would never buy anything. And, and that was it with the company. So I didn't want anything to do with the industry. And I was going to our annual big world conference on anti-aging and regenerative medicine in December. And at the last minute at the airport, my husband bailed because there were problems with his kids. And so he got his money back and left me to go to Vegas by myself. And I was not happy about that because it's no fun being in Vegas by yourself. And this is a huge conference. I didn't really know anybody, but I had met somebody 6 months before and I knew he was coming. So I called him up and said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm hanging out with these doctors and they're at this event that's going prior to ours." And he started to kind of say something about what was going on. And instantly my antennas were up. I said, "Bill, that sounds like you're at a network marketing thing." And then he started making excuses. And I was like, Bill, you got to get out of there. I said, this is bad. And then he kept making excuses. And I'm like, oh my God, they're brainwashing you already. I said, "You're drinking the Kool-Aid. You need to run." I said, "Run." And I got so mad because he wouldn't. And I said, "Fine, I'm just going to bed." Because he wanted me to come over there and join him. I'm like, "I'm not coming over there." And I was hoping the next day he wouldn't hang out with them. Well, it became very clear that if I wanted to do anything in Vegas, I was hanging out with these LifeVantage people. And I just thought they were idiots. Well, they invited me out to these expensive restaurants with them. And I'm sitting there with some of the well-known people in LifeVantage, cardiologists, really good, educated doctors. And I'm like, why would you guys be so gullible to be in a network marketing company? And they were like, "Well, how many have you signed on to?" And, I had a list of maybe 10 or 15 because all these people have been in my office and they were like, "Who's gullible here?" And I said, "Well, that's funny." So the chief science officer was sitting across from me and I said, "All right, hit me with it because I know you're going to. Might as well hit me with it. Let's get this out of the way. I'm going to blow holes in your science." He said one thing. He goes, "We have 11 peer-reviewed studies on PubMed." My jaw dropped. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I would have been impressed with one peer-reviewed study. I said, "Now you've got my attention." And they were like, "Well," he goes, "come to my lecture tomorrow." I was so condescending. I said, "They're letting you lecture here?" Because I thought, how in the world does a network marketing guy get to lecture at this big, world conference? So I had no intentions of going. And the next day, but Dr. Sean McKee basically made sure and kept bugging me. And so I walk into the room and it's this huge room and she and all these guys are sitting in the second row and they were like, "Come on up here." And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even want to be there, let alone come to the front. But I got up there and when he presented the data, which I don't think I've ever seen actually presented at one of our conferences, because you guys would probably find it boring, but the graphs and the things like that about the studies they did on our initial product, I think it was the first 3 studies. And I got chills. I was like, oh my gosh. I felt like it was an answer to prayer as far as the blocks that I was seeing and treating my patients, because I knew oxidative stress was behind everything. And I'd send people out on 30, 40 supplements, and I just wasn't getting the results I wanted because, as you guys know, you can't do it with antioxidants. So I see this product that reduces oxidative stress 40% in 30 days. And I was like, I've got to get on this. I got to get all my patients on it. Knew it was going to change my practice, change the world, everything about medicine, because this was powerful stuff. My next thought was I was in really bad shape financially because I had gotten so busy because, America's sick. I had people waiting 3 hours to see me, an office manager that wasn't getting any claims out, wasn't doing any follow-up. I was literally busier than I'd ever been in my life, bankrupt. And I'm like, here's a financial answer, because I knew that network marketing had a powerful side to it if done properly, and the payment structure was set out properly. The fact that they were publicly traded made a huge difference for me. So I knew that that was a good thing. And then the next thing, I was just pissed off because I was like, okay, you've got this major league good stuff. It's been around for 10 years, and this is what I do for a living. Why didn't I know about it? So I knew then that the company wasn't doing something right because people should have known about it. But that was back when we didn't have a CEO, and the company was doing restructuring because they realized we should be further along than we were. So that's kind of how I got in. I said, all right, this is how bankrupt I was. They cut off all my credit. But the bank, I had to talk them into opening it up after the first of the year. So I told Dr. Shaw, I didn't tell her how bad I was financially, but I said, well, now after it's Christmas and at the first of the year, I should have some money. So I borrowed $2,500 and bought Protandem with it, and just knew it was going to be great. But I had no intention of working the network marketing part. I thought, well, I'll just sell it for $10 more a bottle out of my office, you know, make a little money there. But I was just more interested in saving my patients' lives because I knew it was going to. Well, then Dr. Sean says, oh, I'm going to come over once a week and do a meeting at your office, and you need to invite your patients. I was like, no, you're not. You know, oh, yes, I am. No, you're not. You know, so we get this big fight. She goes, I'm coming, and you better have somebody there. So I made her promise. I said, you cannot sell them on anything. You can't do network marketing, any of this. You just have to talk science. Well, if you guys know Dr. Sean McKee, she can talk science and talk way up here. And it was kind of funny, but at the end of it, she said, this was back for everything was digitalized. She's like, we need help telling people about this. So if you think this is important and you think other people should know, then you can come in as a distributor. And so she just handed out those papers to people. And lo and behold, people were signing up as distributors. And then I had the checks rolling in the next week. That company literally saved my practice financially. Those commission checks for the next, I don't know, 5-6 months, because I went Pro 5 really quickly, saved my practice financially. And at that point, I decided to go to Pro 5 Summit and really learn how to do the business and become a network marketer, but different than the ones that had bothered me so much. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
That is absolutely wonderful. And yes, we've met Dr. McKee because she graced us with one of our cross-team meetings together. So, and on your Facebook page or someplace, you now identified her as your quote sister.
Yeah, well, it's funny. We have so much in common.
You do.
Both in the Air Force, both doing triathlons. I mean, the list goes on and on. So we just say we're sisters with different mothers, you know. We don't know. It was just funny. We were at the same Air Force base. It's just hilarious. From West Virginia, it's funny.
Thank you. Mimi?
I love the, I've never actually heard your story, that particular part of your story.
Tell that because she doesn't like me to tell it because she wants me to rah network marketing. But I think it's important for people to know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm going to digress a little bit, but my husband turned on this Netflix documentary last night that was on essential oils. It was the most inflammatory, horrible thing I saw, which is why network marketing gets a bad name. It started out with somebody who was making his living off of basically podcasts for essential oils, but then he starts telling on the podcast, God told you to call, God gave you this, you know, so he started that. Then they had doTERRA look like it was wonderful, like this diamond distributor and everything great because her brain tumor was cured. And I'm sitting here thinking, I can't believe compliance is allowing her as a diamond distributor to get up there and say that stuff. Well, then they turned around and started trashing Young Living. I mean, like trashed them bad. And then they trashed the whole industry. I mean, they had distributors that never were able to do anything. And they were trashing network marketing like it was network marketing's fault that they weren't successful. I was just horrified. I started texting some Young Living distributors saying, have you seen this? They said, yeah, our company's taking legal action. But that video alone could ruin their company because I know we've had some things out there that were inflammatory. This was the worst thing I ever saw, but it's bad for our industry. So I kind of feel like our company now belongs to some network, I forget what the name of it is, of network marketers, that we as a whole should go after that program and get it pulled because it is terribly inflammatory. And I'm like, yeah, you weren't successful at network marketing because you quit. You know, that's always the bottom line. You quit.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's it.
or you didn't follow the system or, you know, whatever. But they were like, you have to do this much a month or you don't make any money. I'm like, well, what's unfair about that? You know, they act like they should make commissions if they didn't do anything. So anyway, now you guys
I love the simple words that use, if you think this is important and people need to know about it, you can become a distributor. It's so simple that take away all the prejudice, and because I came in with a lot of those kind of attitudes too. I was so dumb I didn't even know it was network marketing until after I joined. So, but really it is getting in the loop to be one of the people educating and bringing this to the world. So I thought that was really great to hear.
Very good to use.
Yeah. So there's so many things we'd like to ask you about, but so you came in through because you are a doctor, you came in a very specific, that was your introduction. You met a lot of wonderful doctors. And you've been, I think currently you're on the LifeVantage Scientific Advisory Board. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell us a little bit about what that's like? I remember Joan, Dr. Joan Techley was on here. She went to her first one and she was it was so different than what she had expected. It was really like the equivalent of getting, advanced classes. And so it's an amazing thing to hear so many doctors, when they're sharing, keep it simple because that's what they have to do. But we also have such a depth of science, and we have a real board. So anything you'd like to share about that would, I'm sure, be interesting to all of us.
We wish that we had more of a role, I guess, in research development than we do. And I think a lot of it is because of the rules of being a publicly traded company, that honestly, when they're developing a product or anything, they really can't share it with us until I guess it's about time to launch, which seems weird because it seems like we should be involved. We can give suggestions. They'll run things by us. We have a monthly call. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Where do you think we should go? But once they get into product development, we don't even hear about it usually until right before everybody else does, because we have a non-disclosure agreement, which we find frustrating because we feel like we're being underutilized, and they do use us to educate, people on the science, which is good. But we wish we had more of a role in what was going on the inside.
That is your main role then, as part of that is
Kind of advisory, yeah.
educate.
Educating you guys and being a sounding board basically when they want to ask us things or try things with us. And yeah, we wish we could do more. And we, of course, want more science, but I kind of see it from Darren Jensen's point of view. All right, are more peer-reviewed studies going to help us become a billion-dollar company from a dollars and cents point? And he's right. No, we have more peer-reviewed studies than any nutritional company out there. And they're billion-dollar companies. We're not. So he's like, that's not going to get us there. If he thinks it'll make things worse, because you know how it is now when you tell people about the science, they start acting like you're a drug and they ask you all these really detailed scientific questions that really don't belong in our industry. That's what you would ask the doctor about a drug, not a nutritional supplement. So he thinks that we make it too complicated, but I do think it's more than just that, because I get this bad feeling when they keep saying, like Eric Worre and Andy Andrews, why are you guys not a billion-dollar company? Shame on you. You have something that nobody else has. What's wrong with you people? And they try to motivate us, but I think it's because our hands are tied. All these other companies are out there making claims that they can't substantiate, and the FDA hasn't shut them down. Now, Abacare got shut down. That scared people to death, but I happened to have a chance to meet one of the owners in one of these other companies. And he said they have plummeted in revenue since COVID-19 and the FDA clamping down on everybody. So they've had to clamp down on all their distributors. And guess what? When you can't say the things that they're saying, it makes it tough, because you've got to do it publicly. You got to be online, and they're not letting us say hardly anything. So we've got to get creative. Again, to me, it's more one-on-one.
Are you ever asked for feedback from the clients that you've been able to get to be on these products? Do they look for feedback from people's real experiences, like testimonial kind of things through you?
I don't know. My situation is a little bit different because, I'm kind of one-on-one with people and they want to know, what I've seen with it. I do think that personal testimonies are the most powerful things that you can do. But we used to have meetings, and we could get somebody up at the front of the room and you could help them tell their story compliantly. That wasn't the problem so much, but it's being out there doing the traction marketing. How do you get people, because you don't want to sell, you want them to come to you. Hey, I want to know what this is you're talking about.
Right.
But And then, you know, and having their stories online, it's so hard to not mention a disease. Like the thing I did on mitochondria a few weeks ago, they didn't put that up because compliance decided they don't want the term mitochondrial dysfunction being used. That's not a disease, but they felt like it was too close to a disease. And I would argue that with them, but that's why they didn't publish it on the Success Mastery. So now I've got to redo all my slides where I don't say that. You know, I think
that was a dynamic Success Mastery.
Yeah, and I think that they're just, you know, they've got our best interests in mind. We don't want our company shut down. We don't want to get one of those letters, but I think they've gone a little bit overboard, and maybe they'll lighten up a little bit more. Because usually if I have a conversation one-on-one with them, they will do that. But I had talked to Eric before I said that, and he never said a word about it till it went up. And then I guess they changed their mind because I was asking them to use the Energizer Bunny.
That sort of leads us right into the next question too, because I think it's something we all struggle with. One, we're all here because we want to protect mama. We don't want anything to happen to LifeVantage, and certainly out there in social media world, we certainly see one thing being banned after another and people being shut down because they've said just slightly the wrong thing. And even in our own cross-team Facebook group, Next Generation Health and Wellness, where we have posted some of your videos, we've literally had to take down a number of the testimonials. We've had to reword them. There's still some things up there that I suppose we could get caught with, but we haven't so far. So we've invited compliance to be part of it. And
That's
we're waiting for
I gotta be better, because those videos, as a physician, they're fine because I am talking as a physician to educate the public. The problem that even some of the other guys on LifeVantage board don't like the fact that I'm getting away with it and they can't. Well, this is my specialty. This is what I do, versus say a pediatrician or a plastic surgeon doing that on Facebook. You can see there's a difference. They can't tell me not to do that because that's my livelihood, even though I'm a LifeVantage distributor. But even then, I think it was one, I didn't mean to say it, but we were having a technical difficulty. And so I just started in a personal story that I'd had with a patient, and I mentioned a disease, and I'm like, doggone it, you know, but it was out there, and it's okay, you know, from that standpoint. But when we host it, you know, as, hey, this is an educational video, on all those, you're going to have to qualify it. You know, she's doing this as a doctor. It's not compliant, because it's probably not. You know, like that, it isn't. If I say anything like a disease or whatever, and I want to kind of do that on these educational, because I want people to be educated about the gut and its role in disease, or, you know, the brain and that kind of thing. So I want them to understand that, so then you can apply how our products later would work. But
well, you're doing a very, very good job with that. And that leads us into a question that we all ponder, because we're all excited. We all want to share this with people because we believe, especially in this COVID environment, that we've got a real tool that people can use to help protect themselves. You have a team. How do you encourage your non-physician members of your team to what they can say, what they can't say, and still be excited and help people connect the dots without saying the words?
well, I think if you're one-on-one with somebody, you can say a lot more, you know, as long as you're not being recorded, because that's a conversation you're having with somebody. But you know, we talk about compliance, and you can't mention disease and that kind of thing. And so I think my team's pretty good about posting and knowing what they can and can't post. But one-on-one, I mean, one thing I'd like you guys to know is the role of NRF2 in COVID-19. It stops the virus from binding to that spike protein. It also helps stop viral replication if it gets into the cell. And then it's mopping up all that oxidative stress that it's causing in your lungs. So it's a very, very big deal right now with this virus. But we can't say that. But one-on-one, if you're talking to somebody, you know, you can talk about NRF2, and the studies are showing that that is, you know, helpful in the COVID-19. And so, you know, we can't claim to cure, mitigate, or prevent disease, but, you know, I found this very helpful, you know, in my family or friends, or, you know, things like that. Because I think that's fair, as long as you're one-on-one and you're not being recorded.
Can Can
And
you
I
say
just know
those
that-
two things again, Deborah? 'Cause
Well, it
I'm
helps.
thinking of my children, you know, even.
Yeah, NRF2 is one of the ways that it blocks it from binding to that spike a spike that they talk about, and then it's stopping in a different way the viral replication inside the cell, and then it's mopping up that oxidative stress that's occurring from all the cytokine release. And it also modulates the release of cytokines, so it balances things out that it doesn't get overdone. So it's a very, very valuable tool with this. And I want to tell people, but I think one-on-one, if you're armed with that knowledge, you can talk to them. Just don't make it public, don't make any announcements, and don't preface it with, this is just science on NRF2 that's come out on, peer-reviewed research out on the PubMed or Google Scholar, and we have a very powerful NRF2 activator. So you talk about the role of NRF2 in COVID, and then say we have a very powerful NRF2 activator.
And Deborah, I think you mentioned some of this in your video on the COVID itself. Do you remember
Which,
what?
praise God, that thing is still up. I can't believe it hadn't been taken down.
Yeah, well, it's still up. It hasn't been taken down even from our site yet. So
Yeah, so it's
delightful.
amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's divine protection or if I just worded it so carefully that, they haven't done it, because they've taken everything else down that doctors are saying.
Well, but you never mentioned Protandim. You never mentioned the name of any product. So
It's such a ridiculously good problem that we have products that do what these products do that we can hardly talk about them compliantly. I mean, it makes you so pleased that you're part of this, but it is challenging to, and as Jenny was saying, I think the whole company has had to kind of regress in the way that we used to be able to deliver things. So, we're all trying to be
We
creative.
still have to, figure it out. I mean, I think what I'm turning towards is, and this is what all businesses are building, is websites, search engine optimization, which I'm going to, it maybe you have to hire somebody after a while, to help you get up there, to help you build your website, to get it, because that's what people are doing. And, social media, but you really need to have a place to send them to, that's compliant. So I'm going to work on, we did start with Wix, my team did, and we just never really got it going. But that's a very cheap way that you can build your own website. But you can hire somebody now for decent amounts of money, depending on how fancy you want to get, to help you build a website. Because what I'd like to do is, when people say, send me information, well, send them to your website and then have it all there. Because people like to do their own little research. But I've had, the more I read, the more that you need to be interactive. Like when somebody's on your website, you need to know so you can get on there and chat with them, stuff like that I haven't gotten to. But I think we're going to have to do that because nobody comes to meetings anymore. And virtual meetings are tough too. I don't know what it is. People just are weird.
So that actually,
now.
That's actually a perfect segue into the next question. And we are, as you're saying, we're in the midst of such upheaval in terms of events and meetings. But maybe you could kind of speak to before and now. But how important do you view the events that we have? Obviously, we have team meetings like this, but then, we have had the regional meetings monthly, and Jenny and I just did a virtual. We're translating over to the ones we shared cross team. And I'm sure people are doing that all over the place. But the monthly, and then the national meetings, and the convention, which is coming up. We've had so many new distributors join over all these months where there's not been one in-person meeting, and it's hard to convey the importance of connecting. And I know we're all really hoping that after convention next year, sometime we'll be able to get some of those going, because it's very hard to replace that virtually. You really can't. But how are you leading in that area with your team, and how do you,
Well, what we're talking about now is actually like renting a place, whether it's a beach house or something, to bring our teams together to watch this. Because I know darn well, if we say, okay, we're not going to see patients on those days and we're just going to watch this video. If we're in our office, that's not going to happen.
Yep.
You know, phone's going to be ringing, refills have to be done. It'll be crazy. People coming in for shots. So I think I'm going to force the issue. We're going to go offsite, even if it's to somebody's house. Now, people that are scared still of COVID or whatever, well, you can join us virtually. But I feel that that human connection is huge. And I think it's going to hurt us not being able to do that. I mean, I did not realize the importance of events until I went to them. You know, I was told, and I'm pretty much a rule follower, except when it comes to the government trying to tell me what to do. But, you know, like they said, okay, these are the things you have to do, and events are mandatory. You know, it's non-negotiable. You got to go to events. So I went to my first one. That was under the old regime. And I said, you're going to have to give me more than this for me to come back, because this wasn't worth me missing work for. Then we get Darren Jensen. We get a whole new regime. They start bringing in world-class speakers. That was different. Absolutely worth going to, you know, because you get the training, you know, and then you get these world-class speakers that motivate you. The personal development was the one part of doing this that I never anticipated. I don't think I'd ever read anything that was personal development. That has been the best thing ever. I mean, I feel like I'm so much better of a person, you know, after being in this business for 5 years. I don't think I would have ever stepped out, done a YouTube channel, done videos, any of the things I'm doing. When I was in Anaheim on a doctor's panel, that was really my first experience on stage. And after I got off, there was a line longer than I could see in that Coliseum. From then on, it was like, here I am in LA and I'm a celebrity. I had to have a team of people running interference. I couldn't go anywhere because everybody wanted to talk to me. And then I realized, you know, hey, you've got something that people need. So this was kind of my transition. And all right, how do I get out there? How do I help more people, you know, beyond just the circle that I have? And so this was the year I said, you're going to start making videos, and then we'll see where that takes me.
That's absolutely awesome. And yes, I remember that panel and how impressed I was with that panel. And it's amazing that I wasn't one of those people in that line.
Who knew that you could be
back of the line? It was crazy. I was supposed to be at lunch.
Who knew that you could have a problem with fans as a doctor, right?
Yeah, it was the funniest thing. And it was really funny because I was in, you know, LA basically, and, you know, Orange County where they all live. And it was like, it was hilarious. So, and on the way back, I had my hair up like now, and I had a baseball cap on and no makeup. And I had somebody sitting beside me on the plane, and it was just about the time we were landing, and they figured out who I was. And they were like, oh my God, you've been holding out on us. Can we get your autograph and stuff? Up, you know, but it was just hilarious. I don't think of myself that way.
It really is an incredible journey, isn't it? And the people we have to journey with are just, you couldn't pick and choose a better group of people to journey with. So that's absolutely wonderful. And speaking about a journey, there's people on here. We could probably take about another 5 minutes, Mimi, just to let people ask questions. So if you have a question, why don't you raise your hand? Anna, why don't you unmute yourself, Anna?
Hi, this has been wonderful, Deborah, but I have a quick question. So say you run into somebody and you have 45 seconds. What would you say to get that point across? Or 60 seconds?
I mean, well, first of all, have you already had a conversation that got something wrong with them? Because you usually want to find out where their pain is. What is it that they're complaining about or interested in? You know, and then you hit them from that angle. Because then you're selling if you don't. But they'll usually tell you, you know, oh, my grandmother had COVID, or I'm scared, you know, or whatever, you know, whatever the current issue is. You got to listen to them first and hear where their pain is. And then, well, I may have something that could help you. You know, do you want to hear more? And then the best thing to do is get their contact. If you only have a little bit of time, see if you can get their contact. Can I share some information with you? You know, that's the biggest thing. And a lot of times, you know, this guy the other night couldn't believe how old I was at the hot tub. And he was like, I got to be on what you're on. Sent him stuff. He's ignored me. I figure his wife probably saw his phone and a woman was texting him and shut him down. You know, I don't know. But he was like, I want to be on that stuff.
Nice. Thank you.
And Meryl, you had your hand up, so you want to unmute you?
Got it. I don't necessarily have a question, but you're looking at one of those fans that I probably would have flagged you down in an airport because
I like it. It's just hilarious.
yeah, because I've been watching your YouTube channel for the last, I don't know, probably 6 to 7 months, and I send it. Is that okay that I send it to people or potential customers?
Maybe preface it with, hey, we're not making any claims. This is just a
Right.
doctor educating you about basically the process in general, because you say, I have my favorites, but I don't really mention product in any of those.
Right, you don't. So I feel like it's a safe way to start having a discussion. So
Well, that's
is
what
that-
I kind of feel like. You have to build some credibility with the person you're talking to. Now, I know
Right.
that third-party validation is really where that credibility comes in, but sometimes it's hard to get person to that. I thought that was weird. I don't want somebody else on the phone. That's a very awkward moment.
yeah.
And that's a network marketing tool. And I understand it's been very successful, but I think it can also backfire too. You want to build some credibility with them, and that you're genuinely concerned. You're not just trying to sell them something. And that's that relationship building that you've got to build on, because whether they say 5 or 6 touches typically is what it takes.
Oh yeah.
And I've got some people now coming back. I lost a lot of customers when I restructured my practice. Well, now some of them are starting to come back, I think, because of this COVID. Hey, what was my number? I think I want to order again.
Mm.
That's another thing that, the least thing you could probably do is create some kind of email list, some kind of communication where you can keep the people engaged.
I just
That's
started
a
that.
big mistake that I made, and I'm still backtracking, trying to make lists and do that. But that's, all the marketing stuff say you got to just keep hitting them with stuff, make them know it's important, and
Yeah, so
even
I have
follow up.
Yeah, I have a customer email list, and I think it was last month, I sent one of your videos to the customer list just as a reminder. Like this is just, I can't remember which video of yours it was. I have to go look, but.
And I think that's a really good thing to do, because again, you can't constantly be selling. You've got to provide them with information, something that makes them want to click on your email and not block you.
Right.
And that's a very fine line that you're walking.
Yeah.
Ginny, can I slip in a quick?
Yes, Amy, go ahead.
I just have a quick question, just a very kind of logistical question. In your practice, do you usually sell somebody a bottle from the office and then get them enrolled on subscription, or do you just set them up on subscription automatically?
We generally, well, it depends. If they're old, absolutely, you sell them a bottle, because they're not typically Facebook, anything like that. I've got a lot of people that don't do Facebook. And so my little customer Facebook group hardly has anybody on it. Why? Because they don't do Facebook. And that's why I realized you should have made an email list, because they will do email. But what were you saying?
Whether you sell them directly or just put
Okay. So if it's only selling the bottle. Right now with COVID, I'm running through it so fast. Like I had a shelf full and I'm down to 1 bottle on North 2 today. So we ordered 24 more bottles, because when they're sick, they don't have time to wait for a shipment to come in.
Right.
So I think, you run into business, you should always have a little stash that you have available for those situations. But when things are calmer, we'll be like, hey, you can save money if you order online, and then we send them a cart. But we always try to not sell them more than 1 bottle. Hey, you don't want to do it that way. One, you got to come to the office. Why do you want to come and drive here all the time when it can be shipped to your door? And you'll save money. And everybody likes to save money thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found
But
that.
you have to be patient, because if you're selling them one, it's a month before you're going to get that customer.
Okay,
Or
Stacy.
if you're-
Stacy has a question, so we'll probably make this the last question, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Stacy?
My question is, how are the CBD oil companies getting away with what they're putting out, and we are getting so scrutinized?
I think it's because there's so many of them that it's almost impossible for them to keep up. And I think it's also because the FDA, realistically, we're on par with drugs. We're better than drugs.
Yeah.
None of the other companies have anything even close to what we have, including CBD. So they hate us.
Yep.
They want nothing more to shut us down. So we're number 1 on their watch list to watch everything we do. And that tells you we have something so much better than everybody else. Now, I do like CBD, but man, do they vary from product to product.
Yeah.
You know, but there's so many of them. It's just really hard for them to keep up with it. But we're a relatively small fish still, you know, and we can stay right under right there in their radar.
The bigger
Now,
we get, the
do they
bigger the threat we're going to be.
Right.
Did they have any comparison to NRF2 versus CBD, pros and cons kind of thing, or no?
I don't think there's any, you know, head-to-head study. I mean, CBD is mainly for the anti-inflammatory effect, but we have a huge anti-inflammatory effect too. But I'm not aware of any head-to-head studies.
Well, there are actually the inflammatory marker that does a comparison of Protandim, not head to head, but you can look up the inflammatory marker of Protandim and the inflammatory marker of CBD, and it does show the difference. I have seen that comparison. Pardon?
You're talking about like which cytokines that they modulate?
Yes, it was some sort of, it was a whole table. And so I was able to look it up once where I could see the table that's in Protandim and the table, and then you look down and you looked at that inflammatory marker, and it was substantially different. So
that's interesting.
Rosemary.
Personally, I've used CBD, and I have not seen the decrease in the HSCRP that I see with Protandim, NRF2.
Interesting.
I've had that experience too. Rosemary just posted a note here that a PC of hers waited a month for her July 15th shipment to arrive via USPS, and the customer service representative of LV today said it's better to use UPS for subscriptions and orders.
Yeah, it's been rough. I mean, my brother lives in Atlanta and kept running out of his, and I'm like, they have a warehouse in Atlanta. Don't ask me, but it's the mail. It's not like Vantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. That Atlanta warehouse has been an issue too. So anyway, thank you. This was absolutely wonderful. And
hey, Jenny.
What?
Jenny, can I ask her a question?
Sure.
Please. Thank you. You said you had a YouTube on the COVID-19. How do I get to something like that?
Just find my channel. If you put my name on YouTube, you'll see my face in a circle, and that's my channel, and that'll show all of my videos that I put up. Now I've been recorded multiple other times, and you'll just see that on the YouTube feed, but the ones that I'm putting there, I'm doing specifically for a purpose. You know, I'm doing them as opposed to somebody else videoing me. For the most part, I did one, you know, and if they look, you know, I've got some like Vantage ones that I posted, but I'm for the most part just doing educational stuff. Like at the end of the series, I'm really conflicted. Do I come out of the closet and say, hey, and then do a very compliant video? This is what I use. I'm not sure what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Because I found in July, there were 3 PubMed studies posted in April, May, and June, finally talking about the COVID. And one of them talked about the inflammation and blocking the air sacs. Another one talked about how the COVID affected the mitochondria, and another one on how it would affect the immune system. And I said, bingo, there's 3 products we have right there. So I hope it's been proper. I will sometimes say to people that I'm taking this because I found it works in these 3 areas, and I'm doing it as a preventative.
Yeah, your personal thing. Like I've been telling patients, you know, the one common denominator with this COVID symptom-wise is fatigue. It depletes the body of NAD. And that may be some of the reason people die. They run out of NAD when they're in the ICU on a ventilator. So that is where the fatigue is coming from, you know, plus you've got the mitochondrial dysfunction, you know, that goes with being sick, but the NAD is important. So now, do I sell it to everybody? No, because you know, they're sick and sometimes their stomach's upset. And so I kind of got to pick and choose. But if their main complaint is fatigue when they come in, then I have them buy a bottle of that as well.
Wow,
in fact,
thank you.
I'll share something to you guys, but I had COVID when we went to Cancun. Did not know it at the time because we didn't know it was in the country. I came down with something. I was still able to do everything because I was on Protandim, but I had a cough I couldn't get rid of, and the fatigue was tremendous. When I got down there, I go to the gym, I felt like I'd gone to 12,000 feet altitude. I couldn't breathe. I almost passed out trying to work out, and I was just so fatigued. I started taking 4 NAD a day when I'm down there. And when I got back, it was about a week later that they announced that it was in our country. And then I had a patient call, the one I'd gotten it from. Turns out she had gotten it from sitting in the Chinese air terminal in Vancouver for 6 hours. She came to see me the 21st of January. I started coughing on the 26th. So by the time I went to Cancun, I was well a week into it. And I called Darren right away. I was like, oh my gosh, Darren, have you heard any calls? Did anybody get sick after being around me? Nobody did. So I feel like we're not contagious when we're on this. Because I'm like,
I've wondered about that. Yeah.
I said, how did I not pass it? I was around thousands of people, hugging people.
Huh.
My own husband didn't get it. But it was the craziest thing. But I feel like, you're not contagious. Like, I'm sure my sister just had it. She had a nasal swab. She's on my cocktail. And she said, I tested negative. I said, well, have you ever had a fatigue and a headache that lasted for 10 days? She said, no. I said, then you had it. You just tested negative because you're on all this stuff.
Wow. Love to see some studies when they come out and comparing some of this too. Watch out for compliance then, huh?
Yeah, so I don't know, but I know how powerful our products are because having walked through that with it.
They don't want to release that because the drug companies will lose that much money with those vaccinations that they're supposed to come out with.
Oh yeah, don't take a vaccination. Please don't do that. I'm so scared what that is going to do to people.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out, information on those and what may be in them and other stuff too. Oh yeah.
Beautiful. We could go on all night, and I'd love to, but I think we probably don't. Let's just
only share this with your team because we've talked about stuff that we'd be in a lot of trouble if it got out.
Right.
This is Deborah. Thank you so much. Well, let's just switch gears for a few minutes because we also have coming up a
Jenny, should we just say, Deborah, we're going to do a few regular, you're welcome to stay on, but I don't want to keep her on if she would rather go.
Yeah, I think I need to go.
Yeah. Thank you. This has just been tremendous to have you. And thank you for trusting us and being so honest. And of course, we will be very careful
I try to get the word out. I want to help people. I want to save lives.
You do. Every piece of you speaks that loudly.
All right, cool. So keep it safe. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, Deborah.
Bye-bye, Deborah.
Thanks, Mimi. Okay, so just quick announcements because then there's some real rock stars on here tonight. We wanted to hear from you. So in terms of the Team True Blue party, the welcome party that's coming up at 9 o'clock, and we'll try to end this so you can jump on that, and it's not going to be a sin if you're a few minutes late to that. But I just posted both in your Inspire and Grow team and in the Imagine group, the link to that. Brandon just sent it to me. So that's where your go-to is for the welcome party link. And then Mimi, you were going to talk about Super Saturday.
Right. Please get that on your calendar. I didn't put it in. I can't believe I put it in my own
It's the
email.
26th of September.
Yes,
26th.
Thank you. Yes, so please just get it in your calendar, and this time it'll be a 2-hour one. And we have Fred Graves, who's going to be speaking to us for some of that time. So it's really exciting. Yeah, and thank you for reminding me too. I just want to get that posted out there. So again, you have to think of the importance of you being the connector and promoter to every distributor you know, in addition to guests, because we will be shaping it again so that if somebody just gets on for the first hour, it will be like they're going to a meeting and learning about why this is so amazing. So be sure to be thinking about guests, but honestly, you don't take it for granted that anybody in your team might not go or that they're definitely going to go. It's just so worth reaching out to everybody, doing it personally and promoting this, getting people to put it on their calendars now. New distributors, they don't understand the benefits of connecting with these and inviting people to them. So that, I think, is just a job that we have. And this is going to be another really exciting event. Sorry, Jenny.
And it's going to be regional. So we're inviting our Comfort In teams. anybody who participated there. So if you're cross-team linking, you can share all that.
Yeah. And a lot of us have missed seeing a whole bunch of wonderful people from the whole region that we don't get to see anymore.
Beautiful. And then the global convention is really important for people to sign up for that, but to also know that some of the benefits have changed a little bit. So encourage people to look at their back offices and look at that carefully. For example, Brandon was talking, how many people got to hear Brandon Lynette today at noon? Rosemary, okay, you got to hear that. Well, go back up, and Joan and Cindy. Yes, Cindy got praised to the hill today.
Sure did.
So go back and listen to that. And they explain nicely why there's no longer that $300 value gift pack, because I've literally needed to reach out and to contract with a professional event firm to really put this on, because it's going to be so big. And so it's going to be absolutely polished, but absolutely wonderful. So it's going to be important to get everybody on it. But there's a lot of benefits, and they're all listed there. So we won't need to take time to go through all of them tonight. But to also think through that if any of us brings in either this month or in September an additional 500 PV, we automatically get a free ticket plus 2 guest tickets and some additional bennies. So it's very much worth our while to see what we can do to stimulate all of that. Darlene's got a question here. Let me just see. Okay. I'll look up the answer to your question, Darlene, in a minute here. So if any of you have already registered, you're automatically going to get a $175 ticket plus, or $175 gift certificate to the store, plus an additional something. So everybody is going to be honored. Whatever you've done, it's just they haven't left a stone unturned. But do listen to Brandon and Lynette, because they really went into great depth, and we don't have time to do that tonight. So that's great. But what we really want to do, because there's some very, very creative people here who have found some ways to really sparkle their businesses. And we've got about 5 minutes. So we're going to just ask some of you sparklers to share what you've done that's really perked up your business in this COVID period, where you haven't been able to get out there personally. But there's stuff that you guys are doing that everybody can do. We just need to have some sharing of ideas. So who would like to go first?
I'll mention what I've been doing. I've been on LinkedIn a lot, guys, and they literally have local LinkedIns where you can get on these Zoom calls. This one, which they are trying to get bigger, it's called Ripple FX. And you get on, and you tell what your ask is, a little bit about what your business is and who you're looking for to fit in your business. I was actually on this morning on a 4:30 a.m. Zoom this morning. Every Monday, 4:30, there was like 8 of us ladies on there, and we were just inspiring each other. And that was 7 more people I just met for the first time that they're all interested in what I do now. So definitely LinkedIn is a really good way. And when you connect with someone, automatically set up a Zoom or a call with them and say, hey, I'd love to learn more about what you do. Not to tell you what we're doing, what they do, and it automatically will come back to you. So that's a couple things I've been doing. And I am in part of a group called BNI, Business Networking International. It's across all the countries, in all the United States and countries, started back in 1985. I've been doing it for a year. It has really helped a lot. There are a lot of life-managed people in this BNI across the states. Maine, there's quite a few BNI people, life-managed people that are in BNI. So that's something else you can check out. If you want more info, contact me for that. About all I have there.
Cool. That's awesome. Beautiful, Anna. Thank you. And Kathy, who is relaunching?
Kathy Ceruto.
Is she?
Are you able to jump on, Kathy, to unmute? And she and Mara have been doing their cross line, but they've been doing the best thing where they've been doing these lives together. So they play off each other. It's fun. It's entertaining. but they each had
I'm
their
here.
phones going, so it shows on their own Facebook pages the same event. It's just great.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And did this put you out of your comfort zone?
Oh, I dragged my feet. I wasn't going to do it, kept making excuses. And finally I got cornered into it and didn't want to let Mara down and did it. And now I'm addicted.
And they've been doing topical, like a topic of some of the products.
Right. We started doing like a series, and we would pick 2 products, tried to get, put a catch line on our Facebook before we went live, and then we'd go live. And Mara kind of gets into the science part of it, and I do whatever part, whatever, we feed off each other. So if she starts on something, we go through the product, just give kind of little snippets of what it is, how it works. And then we always tell people if they want to know anything about it to let us know, message us. And it's been working. I mean, we're not, it's amazing how many people watch. That's really the key. And I didn't realize it, but I'm not one to post a lot. And now seeing this, I realize that people, we can see them viewing us. So I mean, the first one we did, I had over almost 400 and something views. And then the same people are getting on. You can tell that they're getting on and they're watching. So eventually I've gotten a couple people that have private messaged me. One was from another MLM that I was involved in years ago, and he's out in Wisconsin, and I sent him samples of the Axio, and he's looking into placing an order this month. A friend of mine from high school from Pennsylvania saw it. I never even would have thought to friend this woman, but she saw me and she saw the whole thing and wanted to know what I was doing. And so yeah, it builds up, it shows credibility in what you believe in, and they're curious. They want to know, and they want to be excited because we're excited about it. So yeah, it's fun.
So, and Kathy, did you get more responses from the one you guys did on Axio, or because you've taken different pieces of the product each time?
Right. I'll tell you, the one we did on Axio and Nerf 2 was huge. And so this past week we did Axio slushy, and then we added in, the NAD. And I'll tell you, that was the second highest one in views. But if you post it to your story, which, I'm old, and I'm getting trained on this. And every time we do it, Mara has to show me. But if you post it to your story, if you post it to all these places, people are looking at it. If you do a watch party the next day, different people are watching it. The same people are watching it. They want to know. I've gone back to the first week we did it, and my numbers are still growing from that first one because people watch it all the time. They go back, they're showing somebody else what's going on and what's out there.
And Kathy, have you picked a regular date? And I'm part of 2 social networking consulting groups. Yeah. And they're basically saying to pick a common day each week, but to do it each week. And you're best if you do it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And if it's like between 11 in the morning and 7 at night, somewhere in that time window.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finding.
We started doing them on Thursdays, and then, like with Mara's schedule, sometimes, with the kids, it's had to change a little bit. But I will tell you that the one that we did Friday night at like 5 o'clock at night, that one, we had more after the fact because we kept reposting it. And but yeah, no, you're pretty consistent by doing it in that time frame from like 11 to 5, because you want to get people to watch it more.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Does anybody, thank you. Does anybody else have something to share?
I'd like to just make a comment real quick to Kathy. I'm not big on like sitting and watching anything. I don't have the patience. You might have noticed that about me. And I happened to fall on one of yours one time, and I watched a great deal of it. And it was delightful. I mean, it's
Oh,
really
thank
just
you.
two women. You were doing about the dog, the fur bobbies, and it was delightful. It was really two women that were just friends and caring and natural. And then you talked about the product, and it was just a really natural way of introducing it. And I always think of something like, you know, Jean DeLucia, Dr. DeLucia, and any of the early people who talked about the meetings they started, even Brandon, when they started, they had like no attendance and they had a few people, and it built. It's about consistency, and you're just,
Right.
you're getting this following that people want to see what you have to say next time because you're adorable. You're really cute together. And it's
People
delightful.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. People have said to us, "Are you coming back?" Or they'll message us and say, "When's your next one?" And I feel like we're Lucy and Ethel in the chocolate factory, you know.
Oh, it's delightful. Anyway, so guys, I know we need to end this, Mimi, and
Oh, yeah, we do.
and,
Yeah.
and move on. But this has been delightful, and basically, Mimi and I've had conversations about the value of this, and we'd love to have some feedback from all of you because we're thinking of doing this on a consistent night, but once a month and do cross-team meetings, because together there's such richness that is just delightful to learn from one another and laugh.
Mhm.
No, I
This was
agree.
wonderful. I enjoyed it. We definitely need to do this more.
Rosemary
Thanks,
liked it.
everybody.
It was great. And that one line that, oh Jesus, the doctor that was just on, Viglione, what's her first name?
Deborah.
Deborah. She was fabulous when she said that, you know, at the end, she said, do you think this is valuable? Because we need a lot of people to get out there and share this information. That's such a call to action that really tugs at the heart after they've been it's not, let's make money, you know, I don't know, it was about a message and a mission. And I just thought that was really powerful.
It was, Joan, and as a person, she is absolutely driven. When you look at everything she does, she is so consistent across the board with her clinics, with everything she does on Facebook, and everything that I've seen her do under Gabe and Jill's team too. So it was beautiful. Thank you for noticing that.
Wonderful. Thank you for having her on, ladies. It was invaluable.
Delightful.
So to be off the topic here, I keep clicking on the link that you put in and then on Team True Blue for 9 o'clock, and it's just a picture. There's no link.
Scroll down to the bottom or tap on it because the link to Zoom is listed on the bottom of the picture.
I didn't see it, but I'll try again. Okay.
Yeah,
Touch on the picture, it opens up.
Yeah, that's what Brandon sent tonight because I hadn't seen it anywhere, so I texted him and asked him for it. I couldn't find it in Team True Blue.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, I tried too, you're gonna have to just enter it yourself.
Yep.
So
Okay.
just scribble it on a scrap paper and then enter it yourself.
Marcy, I can pull up his note for you and I can tell you what the Zoom numbers are.
I can tell you right now, I've got it here. 86.
I have it. I just tried to click on it, but I couldn't find it. I mean, it wasn't going out to it, but I have the information, so I'll just have to open up a Zoom and
Yeah,
get
just
to
do
it.
Zoom
Yeah,
and
I have
join.
it. I just thought it was a link. I didn't even see that it wasn't. So, okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Okay,
All right. Thanks for getting on, everybody. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Have a
Excellent.
great
Guys.
Night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Night.